So there we are. There's the Dunlop touring car line out as they head off on the first lap down into Coca-Cola Corner, and it's all very important for Michael Cullen. He's got to win this one to win the championship, and it's Joe Foley, and it's a fairly sort of mixed up grid. It was indeed, John, because this was had a very unique qualifying situation.
Unique qualifying indeed there, as Joe Foley just clips the curb and heads out into the country, and Barrable takes over his position, and we're on board now with Gordon Kellett. As you were saying, a shootout yesterday to determine the grid, and at the end of the shootout it was Foley from Cullen from Barrable. But now as they're heading out around Bridgestone, it's Cullen in the lead with Barry Barrable, the two championship protagonists, out the front. Cullen leads on 56 points from Barrable in 54 or 45. Barrable must win today and hope that Cullen finishes no lower than second or third in the next two races to take the championship.
And quite a battle going on there behind as we look at one of the back markers, number 9 there, but really it's all down to Barry Barrable. He really has a lot of work to do. He's got to come up, he's got to pass the man out in front of him, he's got to win, and that's not going to be easy. But these are the two that have fought it out all year. Files on the grass in the background there. We're now aboard again with Gordon Kellett, who's very close to this battle as they come down the main straight, braking from about 95 miles an hour down to about 40 or even 30 miles an hour. Mervyn Miller just ahead of him in the silver Astra there, and you can see the smoke of the thunder in the background as we skip ahead to the leaders and the two championship contenders.
This is the real battle we hope for. Cullen got out in front, and Barrable's got to chase him down. It's been nip and tuck all year between these two as they head around Bridgestone Corner on lap 2. Cullen has now got the lead ahead of Barry Barrable, with Joe Foley down in third place. A great performance indeed from the Peugeot 205 driver Foley, because he took advantage yesterday in the shootout to get pole position by changing from slicks to wets, and in that one lap shootout he did get pole, but he's dropped down now to third, but he's doing well. He's holding up Miller in third place.
Joe Foley and indeed Jonathan Fowles have shown how well you can go in these little 205s. We're back again with Gordon Kellett in his latest edition Opel Astra, having a tremendous battle, as indeed he has all year, with Mervyn Miller in the older one, and here's exactly similar situation, but at the head of the field.
Yes, 2 laps gone, and it's Michael Cullen still leads from Barry Barrable, with Joe Foley in third place, and Alan Dawson has moved up to fourth place overall. He's ahead of that battle. We were looking at in-car camera there, ahead of Mervyn Miller and also Gordon Kellett. But this is the real battle. This is the battle for the championship. Barrable knows he must win today and knock Cullen down a couple of places. In fact, first and second would do for Barrable, and he's all over the back of him as they head him down into the Yorkie S's.
So the Dunlop touring car has gone to a totally different format this year. They're all 2-litre, normally aspirated, most of them front-wheel drive. In fact, all of them front-wheel drive at the moment, and it's the Opel Astra that has been the all-winning combination this year. The Peugeot's putting it in, but the Peugeot 306 of John Keeney not really getting on the pace yet, but further development needed. Kellett, a frustrated man, our in-car cameraman here, because he had a lousy day yesterday on this qualifying shootout. Maybe we should just explain that. They got one lap to do a quick time, and it was in pouring rain. Kellett had slicks in the front and treaded tires in the rear, and believe me, John, it didn't work.
It certainly didn't work at all. In fact, a lot of those drivers were caught out. That's why we have Joe Foley on pole. Unfortunately, Joe is now down in third place, but still holding up the rest of the pack, including Alan Dawson behind there. But this is the battle for the front and the battle for the championship between the two Astras, Michael Cullen and Barry Barrable.
Now, these two have had quite a war, literally, through the years. And particularly at Phoenix Park, where there was a black flagging, there was warnings, there was penalties given, and they, I would imagine, have had quite a little ticking off today before they go out. They say, we don't want to see any displays of dirty driving on television. You guys have a championship to go to for. We appreciate that, but let's keep it clean, boys, and that's the way it is exactly at the moment.
This, of course, as Alan said, there is a new championship. It took over the Group N Series, won last year by Michael Cullen. He's also won the 205s, the Unos in 1993, and won the Sexton Trophy as well. He's been dominant over the last few years as they hit the line for the end of lap 4. They're still nose to tail. Barrable has a little look around the outside. He certainly won't get around there. Cullen has that inside line at Coca-Cola Corner, and he'd also have the line as they head out towards the country again. But it's Cullen from Barrable. This is the race we wanted between the top two, and we're back in car with Gordon Kellett.
And Gordon Kellett just can't get past Mervyn Miller. He's another man that's been in the wars a little bit this year, but Mervyn's had a very good season indeed. Mervyn, again, a very, very experienced man, has done rallycross, has done racing for many years, And here he is holding off the newer shaped car of Gordon Kellett, who of course has come from the Sierra Cosworth, a very, very successful driver, Gordon, Dublin garage man, who has won a lot of races in the Cosworth and now has got to relearn front-wheel drive.
Very hard braking there from Kellett, of course, into that corner, but we're now back with the leaders as they head up at Dunlop corner, and this race could change because I don't know if you can see behind, there's very, very dark clouds looming over this race. So they're in the dry at the moment and they're out there on slick tyres, but if it starts to rain, the front two, in fact the whole field, could be in trouble and we could have a change of leadership.
And that's exactly what Barry Barrable's trying to do at the moment. He really is looking for a little space. It's so difficult. The cars handle virtually the same. Front wheel drive, exactly the same characteristics, although the bodywork is completely different in these two Opel models. So it's Michael Cullen in the Prima car there, the multiple Dunlop champion. Last year, was it that, or the year before, I think, that he won something like 4 championships in saloon cars. Quite incredible. And really, his sideboard and his father's sideboard, Des Cullen, of course, has raced for years, 30 years in competition. I wouldn't like to be polishing all those cups in the Cullen household. Certainly
not, and in fact we are kind of lucky that Michael Cullen is actually out racing with us today, because a couple of years ago he did have an horrific accident. A couple of years ago, went through a plate glass window in his father Des's garage, sliced through a lot of tendons in his leg, was hospitalised, lost a lot of blood as well, but we're now glad that he's back racing with us, and in fact leading the championship and leading this race at the end of lap 6 ahead of Barrable, and it's still Foley in third ahead of the 309 of Alan Dawson.
So 6 of the 10 laps gone, and that means that his time is running out for his championship hopes here. Barry Barrable really has got to put on the pressure. He's got to get past, and if anything at the moment he looks to be dropping back a little bit, John.
It seems to be. It's getting very cloudy overhead, and I think before this race is out we're going to have an almighty downpour, because it is very, very dark. That TV picture that you're seeing there is actually lighting things up, because it's incredibly dark here at Mondello Park, and this is what it's like from inside the car now as we follow Gordon Kellett around a lap of Mondello Park, and he is behind Mervyn Miller and he still hasn't got past.
So let's put ourselves in the driver's seat. This is the incredibly difficult left-hand kink of the S's, the Yorkie S's. And there he is in the middle of that bunch. It is Brian Ward on his tail in the Honda. Ahead of him is Mervyn Miller. We're coming up now up to Dunlop corner, which is a blind corner. You've got to put on the brakes very hard as you come over the brow there. Now onto the fastest part of the course as he goes up through the gearbox. There's the leaders. Michael Cullen with Barry Barrable still on his tail, no change there. 8 laps to go, and time is running out for Barrable, as we've said before. Joe Foley still in 3rd place, and in 4th place I think it's Alan Dawson still, and then this battle for 5th.
Is there a problem there with Barry Barrable's car? He was nose to tail, of course, with Cullen for the last couple of laps, and he seems to be dropping back. There seems to be something wrong with Barry Barrable's car. Hopefully he can get that together. A little puff of smoke from the back tyres there of Joe Foley. Joe Foley with Alan Dawson behind him. He's doing really well, because the 205s are normally not this competitive in the dry. In the wet they can keep with the Astras and also with the 309s. But Joe Foley, our pole sitter, still in 3rd place and doing really well. But is there a problem with Barry Barrable's car?
It certainly seems to have slowed. It's dropped right back, and Cullen is making a lot of advantage now as he comes up into Dunlop this time, and is dropping right back into the clutches of Joe Foley. And some of these cars, incidentally, are also carrying a weight penalty. Michael Cullen is carrying 50 kilos, but that's becoming irrelevant at the moment, because look at Barry Barrable with 40 kilos aboard. It seems to be in some kind of problem.
Talking about weight penalties there, it's how many races you win over the last couple of rounds. The more you win, the more the weight penalty. The theory is it slows you down and brings you back into the pack, and for poor old Barry Barrable, it seems like the whole weight of the world is on him now. There is something definitely wrong with that Astra. So Barrable, and he's been taken for 2nd. So 2nd goes to Joe Foley. Alan Dawson looks like he's going to do something about it very shortly too. And Barry Barrable wouldn't normally concede a place like that. He definitely is in big problems. He's probably looking down at his gauges,
He's seeing pounds, shillings and pence needed to be spent as this championship evaporates right in front of his eyes.
He's trying to retake Joe Foley there. He maybe have seemed to have cleared that little problem, because he seemed to have speeded up again out of course in front. Michael Cullen, you could just see a little corner there as he goes into the Dunlop corner, heading down up the main straight. But Joe Foley now in second place, and maybe Barry Barrable has now cleared that problem, and maybe he can get back ahead of Foley and back into race contention. Behind him, Dawson in fourth place. They're at the end of lap 9.
So it's pure conjecture as we watch Michael Cullen out of the lead, and the increasing lead at this point. It's pure conjecture amongst us. What is the problem in there? Could it be a gear selection problem, or could it be an overheating problem? Sometimes he could be looking at the dials and decide this is for go, and then the heating problem doesn't become any more severe, and he decides to go on, but we just don't know.
Little flash of the wipers there from Joe Foley. Could it possibly be starting to rain? I kind of predicted that it would rain towards the end of this race, because it's a very, very dark day here at Mondello Park, and we're inside Gordon Keller's car, and he seems to have got past Miller. Miller is nowhere near to be seen. He's just clipping the curb, and the rain on the windscreen there suggests that we will have rain before this race is out, and a very heavy downpour. These guys are out in slicks now. They're going to have to tiptoe around this corner. Little apex there. Barry Barrable coming under pressure now from Alan Dawson. He certainly has a major problem with his car now. Joe Foley in second place, Michael Cullen up ahead, Barry Barrable in second as they're coming up to complete 10 laps. It is Cullen up ahead, Foley in second place in the 205. In the Astra it's Barry Barrable, and he's given up. That's it. That's the end for Barry Barrable. He said that's enough. He's going to pull into the side, and so poor old Barry Barrable. His championship is now run, of course. He had to keep close to Michael Cullen. Hoped to win today, that Cullen would finish somewhere down the order, but he just pulled away. So it's now Cullen from Foley, from Dawson. Barrable's out.
And Kenneth moves up the order. So that's a great sadness indeed for Barrable. Here's a great little dice that's been going on throughout the whole race. Jonathan Files, who had a tremendous result in Phoenix Park a couple of weeks ago in the Peugeot 205, putting huge pressure on Brian Ward there in the Honda. Now Brian Ward, again a man who came from Sierra Racing, was used to a lot more power, has had a little bit of difficulty adapting to the front-wheel drive 2-litre power of the little Honda. And the rain is getting worse. It's really beginning to come down, and we're on board with Gordon Kellett, and he knows all about what it's like to try and handle one of these cars and slicks in the wet, because he went off about 3 times yesterday in the qualifying hot lap in that effort to do that. So Cullen, he's the experienced man. He will know that the championship is in his pocket if he manages to tiptoe around this course.
Absolutely. The lap times as a result of that rain falling on the circuit now coming down. They were lapping at around 64 seconds. It's now down to 106, 107s, down by about lap 11. In fact, 11 laps gone, 4 laps to go. And Cullen, as I said, he's got his wipers on. It's starting to rain here, and heavy rain has been forecast, showers right throughout the day. Foley now in second place, a great second place, of course. He took that pole position yesterday after the shootout, and can he hang on, because Dawson is all over him. But up in front, this is the man we have to look at, Michael Cullen. He's heading towards the championship with Barrable out of the race.
And virtually all these men have come from the 205 one-make Peugeot class. They've all raced in that, and that's where they gained their experience, moving up into the touring car championship class. Michael Cullen on the brakes down into Dunlop. Wipers going. There is Alan Dawson, who's had a great season in that 309. It's been the most successful non-Opel.
This is the real battle of the race, though. It's between Mervyn Miller, also the Honda of Brian Ward, and Jonathan Files, who had a great result, as Alan was saying, in the park. There's 3 laps to go now. This is the battle for 5th, 6th and 7th place overall. But there's our race leader, Michael Cullen. And now with the rain coming down, this is the chance, of course, for Joe Foley, because the 205 is just as quick as these Astras around the corners in the wet. But they're all on slicks, so they got to be careful.
Gordon Kellett just going through a picture, our camera car, and that's the view from the inside. And he's really having to use a lot of lock and be very smooth and gentle on both the accelerating pedal and the application of the steering wheel as this track gets slipperier and slipperier. This is the battle for 5th place. Mervyn Miller under attack now from Brian Ward and Jonathan Files, the son of the great Ken Files. Ken Files, who used to be a very accomplished Formula Libre racer here in Ireland a number of years ago. So Mervyn Miller, that's another racing family. There's Ward. Ward looking for a place down inside, and remarkably well behaved, all these gentlemen today. One realises that they're being closely watched, I think, by the stewards.
Absolutely, but there'll be nobody watching this guy up front except himself. All he's got to do now is keep it on the track. He's got 2 laps to go between himself and the championship. Multi-champion, that is Michael Cullen. He won the Group N Series last year, and 2 years ago he swept the board. The 205s, the Unos, the Group N and the Sexton Trophy as the overall winner. This is the battle for second place now between the 205 of Joe Foley, locking up his brakes there as he heads around Bridgestone Corner. In third place is Alan Dawson in the 309. But Cullen, now it's absolutely pouring down. We're in car again with Gordon Kellett, and he's got the wipers going overtime. It's starting to pour down now with 2 laps to go. These guys, and he nearly lost it there, as you can see. And there again, the battle for second place up ahead of Michael Cullen. There is Michael Cullen, and there's the battle for second behind between Joe Foley and the 309 of Alan Dawson. And with 1 lap to go, well, nearly 1 lap to go, looks like Cullen's got this championship wrapped up.
So Michael Cullen is just about to go on to his last lap. Alan Dawson still looking threatening there in third place, and Gordon Kellett now in the Castro car just coming down the hill. But Michael Cullen, man who's used to carrying off awards by the bucketful, the barrow load full at the prize givings in the winter, he's probably only going to get 1 saloon car championship this year. That's might even be a slight disappointment for Michael, but he's very glad to put this one in the bag, and it's certainly looking good now.
Certainly is, but he's just got to be very careful because the rain is absolutely starting to pour down now. In second place there, that is Joe Foley in the 205. A great race for him, because he took pole after the shootout. There's our leader, Michael Cullen. Barry Barrable is out of the race, expired his car, unfortunately, on lap 10 of the 15, and he is out. But Cullen just got to be careful now. The championship's within his grasp. Behind him is Joe Foley as they're coming out of the York ES, heading up to the Dunlop corner onto the main straight. It looks like Cullen's got this wrapped up.
And it's really possibly been one of the most tame Dunlop Saloon car rounds we've seen this year as it comes down towards the checkered flag. I don't think Alan Dawson's going to get that second place now. It's all pretty well settled, first, second, third and fourth. So Cullen takes the flag, and surely will now go on to the championship. There's Foley in second place, there's Dawson, very pleased with his third place. Kellett a good recovery in fourth. And then it's Miller's going to be fifth, Ward sixth, and Files tries at the last minute for seventh, but it's not going to be successful.
So it's Cullen